are you doing?
How's it going? Lance and Mindy here. We've got a good self-defense technique to talk about today. We're going to talk about controlling our opponent by their head and controlling our opponent by their shoulder from the side mount position. The side mount position is a very dominant position. It's really good for controlling your opponent because you have access to their head and neck and also their arms. So let's talk about it, Mindy.
Okay, remember the hot pocket from the mount? Well, think about the hot pocket from side control. There are many different ways to hold side control, but I'm just going to teach y'all. Look, I'm on my legs over here by this arm and by this neck. My knee is up by his head, and then look, I can do hot pocket, keep my head down low, and I'm just across his arms and his chest and underneath his neck. And then this is how I'm just going to hold side control or side mount.
Mostly she's using my head, the control of my head, to keep me from escaping.
Okay, so there are two things he can do. Sometimes he'll turn away from me. And if he turns away from me, look, that gives me his arm. We're talking about catching the shoulders today. I'm just going to scoop underneath his armpit, kind of holding his bicep. And then I'm going to drive my shoulder into his shoulder. My elbow is behind it. And I think like I'm driving a stake down through my shoulder, through his shoulder, and into the ground. And that way he can't really roll away from me because I have his arm and he can't get his back on the ground. But what I'm going to do is take my other hand, grab his wrist. Take this arm, go through and grab my wrist. And look, remember this? This is our figure 4 grip. 2 on 1. And I'm going to hold it in tight.
A big piece that I feel being stuck here, this hand is pulled in real tight next to my shoulder. It's kind of like I'm stuck in a chicken wing. When my elbow's all the way compressed, it's not as strong. But also, her body weight is doing a lot of the work here. Because she's leaning into me, that elbow doesn't have much of an escape route. It's stuck. So she's using all of her whole body against one arm. It makes it, kind of makes up for the size difference, you know.
I'm going to take this leg, step over his head. What I would want to do is be mean, drag it across his face, but I'm going to give him space today. And look, I'm like sitting over his head. I'm going to pull this arm in up to my chest. I'm pinching it into my chest. Hear that? Feel it? And I'm sitting, leaning back. The greater I can get his arm away from this 90-degree angle, the weaker it will be for him and stronger it will be for me. Like if I just leave it here, it's still close to his body and he has lots of strength. If I lean back and pull it away, then it's weak. And now I'm just going to rotate his wrist, acting like I'm going to high five the back of his head, and this is a shoulder lock on him. Tap, tap. So again, I can be holding my hot pocket from side mount. He turns away. I'm going to scoop this arm up, grab his wrist, grab my wrist, pinning him down with my chest pressure. When I'm ready, I'm going to step over, make him look at the ground, shave his face off with my knee a little bit. Then I'm going to lean back, pinning this to my chest. See, my arms aren't way out here because then he has more leverage and strength. I pin it, and then, look, he can't really get it away. I can pull his wrist up and back. What else do you want to add, Lance?
I think one of the biggest pieces that I think you get a lot of control over if you're down Mindy, that I really like to use for efficiency. When they turn away, I get my grip connected. I like to really emphasize that detail of lifting them up by trying to pick them up off of the ground by that shoulder, that tight control. If they keep that arm in tight, they have a better chance of escaping or defending the shoulder lock. But if I pick them up, it not only takes the slack out of the shoulder, but any of her hip escape action to try to escape, I can keep them underneath me. Go ahead, your hips. Makes it very difficult for them to sit up. And I like that because I don't have to rely on like just being strong enough to hold the person. I can just outmaneuver them.
Now we're going to show you the cross-side one. On this one, you can get the arm this way, straight, or this way, but we're going to talk about this shoulder lock, Americana. So same thing, I'm in my hot pocket position. Y'all are probably going to ask, well, what happens if he tries to punch you? Well, you want his arms out here because then you can scoop him up. Like if he's going to try to punch me, that's not really going to happen. He wants his arms in tight because then I can't get his arms, but me being on top for the submission, I want his arms. So let's say his arms are out here and I'm just going to grab his wrist, pin it down to the mat, put my elbow in his neck. This other arm is going to go palm down underneath his arm, grab over, monkey paw to a figure 4 grip. And this knee over here is either like under his arm or up by his neck over here, just separating his body. Okay, wrist down, under, monkey paw, figure 4 grip. Now I'm going to pull it in tight, and that is already putting some, see he's getting ready to tap. His shoulder's already tight. Now I'm just going to keep this on the ground and kind of act like I'm revving a motorcycle with my wrists. And he's tapping. Some people can say paint the fence. I keep his wrist on the ground and lift the elbow up. And it's uncomfortable. But lots of times people will try to do that and they're like lifting the whole arm off and it's just not right. So another way that our instructor taught us is you just try to lift their elbow towards their belly button, and that's going to be uncomfortable. So you're out here. Remember, you got to sink it all in tight. You want your elbows as close to their body as you can get it. And now I'm going to drag his elbow towards his belly button. And he's tapping. What do you want to add?
I want to talk about the when to catch this.
Oh yeah, I didn't give good detail about that.
No,
I just caught it.
This is really important. So it's real common that if I'm trying to wrap their head and hang on to them, they do the same to me. They get a hold of me. This grip is really good if they want to roll me over. But when this arm's wrapped around my head, that's kind of the main mistake, is that they've given me this space right here, that red zone. So I've got the shoulder completely isolated, even though they're wrapping around my head. And then we can just play the waiting game. I'm going to be patient. I can grab my bicep and put my hand on my head, just kind of like I'm waiting, being patient. I can sprawl my weight out real low, and I can hold my weight on them for a long time. It's a great place to stay safe. They're not in a good position to try to punch, but as soon as their hand tries to cross that path in front of your face, it's going to feed right into that grip, right? Requires a little bit of patience, but now I've got everything connected from the get-go as soon as I touch that hand.
It's already tight as soon as you grabbed it.
And then you apply that detail that Mindy was talking about, pulling that elbow in tight. You get complete control over that shoulder. Keep in mind the potential to hyperextend or meet the limitations of that shoulder. They're there.
It.
Absolutely. So we're looking to use that tension as a way to control the situation, right? And that's where you hang out in that position of control to defend against punches and look for your opportunity to escape the situation, look for the opportunity to call for help,
So the main things that we're focusing on today is staying in the side mount or side control with the hot pocket. And once they give you an arm, if they turn away from you, scoop up under that armpit by the shoulder area and get the Kimura shoulder lock. Or if the cross side arm comes across, get it to the ground and get the shoulder lock that way.
Thanks a lot. We'll catch you next time.
Practice it with your roommates or your siblings like lots of y'all are getting to do.
Excellent.